AI tools have exploded over the last year and a half since ChatGPT came out. And a lot of people, especially with ChatGPT, are using them as replacements. They're just putting in something to ChatGPT, taking what it gives out and using that. And I'm getting emails and seeing posts that have clearly just been written by ChatGPT with very little human interaction or changes made. And so I think this is a problem, and I'm going to, in this video, talk about what I have been doing and what I advise as the proper way to integrate AI tools into your creative workflow in a way that maximizes the effectiveness of the tools, but doesn't take away your valuable, unique human input. Just to give you a little background on me, I was a screenwriter and director in the traditional film industry in the US, Hollywood, and a movie I wrote and directed came out on Amazon Prime and Apple TV in 2019. And then I was set to direct my second movie in 2020. And of course, 2020 happened, COVID hit. And in that time, after COVID hit, shut down the film industry and my movie got canceled, I decided to move to Bali and start over. In this time in Bali, over the last year and a half, since AI tools exploded, I started to use them a lot and see the potential of them to be able to make movies again, or something like movies. In other words, narrative video content. I think that the forms will change just the way that Web 2, the interactive internet, we had YouTube, TikTok, right? Those type of narrative videos are unique to those platforms and the technology, right? There weren't TikToks before the internet. Those weren't those type of videos. I think similar things going to happen with AI and other extended reality technologies that will change the form exactly, but there'll still be some narrative storytelling types of video content. So anyway, if you look on my YouTube channel in the shorts section, you can see a bunch of little shorts I made with all AI tools. And I've also been making some for clients. And I want to talk about my whole workflow. And even if you're not doing the exact same thing that I'm talking about, I think it's instructive for how to use these tools in your creative workflow. So let's talk about the large language models like ChatGPT. I'm actually using Claude more days now. I think it is better for narrative and storytelling. I think it just has a better command of narrative. But that's for storytelling. I've also used ChatGPT for a lot. These are the tools, obviously, they're being used the most so far, right? ChatGPT being the fastest app to 100 million users ever. So the thing is that, as I was saying at the beginning, people are being lazy and they're trying to let it do the work. And it is obviously impressive what it can do if you just say, write me a social media post or write me a letter or an email about this or that. Or it's impressive, obviously, what it can do. It sounds competent. It's decent, right? But it's very generic by definition because it's a large language model. It is pulling from so much source material that it is, by definition, a generic, broad output content writing. And the risk here is that it's so early in the sense that not everybody can just pick up ChatGPT writing immediately. Like, you have to be using it regularly to be able to recognize its writing. But I can tell instantly when stuff has been written by ChatGPT. And one, I automatically lose respect for the person because I can see they didn't put any work into it. They just let ChatGPT do it. Now, if somebody gave ChatGPT credit, like they said, this was written by ChatGPT, then okay, fine, at least they're being upfront about it. But you can use ChatGPT and it won't sound like ChatGPT at the end if you add enough of your own unique style to it. So I'll give you a couple examples. One thing is to give it source writing. Give it some of your writing that you've already written. Or if you are trying something new, let's say you're trying to write fiction or something and you haven't really developed your own style, you can use other authors, use your favorite authors and say, okay, I'm trying to write some kind of, I'm going to use a Dan Brown, like the Da Vinci Code. I'm going to use a little excerpt because I want to write in that style. you can try stuff like that. Of course, then you got to still go in and edit it. And that's the big thing. Is like, you work on the prompts as much as possible, what you input, and try to input source material so that it's copying a different style. But then you got to edit it yourself. So another thing to do is just, instead of literally putting in something like the Da Vinci Code and saying copy the style, put in your favorite authors and ask ChatGPT to analyze the style. Say, can you analyze the style, tone of voice, word choice? I want to get a full, breakdown of this writing style. And then it'll give you a big description. And then you can look at that description and say, okay, is that what I'm trying to do? Edit it to the point where you want it, where it captures what you were trying to do. Then separate conversation, put that in and say, now write my story about such and such using this style. And then you're getting a little further away from just trying to copy Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code, or whatever you're putting in. And it's more like you're just analyzing the style and learning from it and then using that. And then even then, whatever you're getting at, you then got to go in there and edit it and put in your own unique style and flavor. And this is something you can keep going back and forth. Something I do a lot is like, it'll give me something, they'll say, no, I don't like that, and that. Could you do this? And this doesn't make sense. And you give it notes and then it rewrites, and then you give it more notes and then it rewrites. Then I'm like, I'm gonna edit this. Okay, I want this version now, so forth. And so treat it like a writing partner or a writing assistant and keep going back and forth with it. So that's one part of it. I'll tell you, when I did the videos, and what I recommend for videos is first writing the script in the manner I just said, where you go back and forth, giving my ideas, it gives its ideas, I give its ideas. We go back and forth, I decide, and then I'm presenting the story, write me up a first draft of the script. No, let me edit that. Okay, now again, and we keep going back and forth. Then once we get a script, I say, okay, now give me a list of the shots that would be in this script. I said I want to break it down into an animatic, which is just a bunch of images. So give me all the images that would be in this script, right? And it will give me a list of images. I'm using like a ChatGPT right now. It'll give me a list of images and in text, or list of images meaning like shots. It'll be like, okay, close up of the hero looking over the top of the car. Like, you're getting a shot list basically. And then once you have that, I say, okay, first of all, probably I tell it to give me less, because usually it gives way too many. So I want to get it down, because if I'm gonna turn this into video, we can't be dealing with too many shots. It's gonna take forever. It depends on the size of your project, but usually I'll have it say cut the number of images in half. And then I'm gonna ask it to write Midjourney prompts for each of the images or each of the shots. And this is because I like Midjourney for this. Obviously, you can use DALL-E within ChatGPT. You don't have to even leave the app. You can just say, generate an image for each of those. But also, I want to give it more information, because I want a better prompt. I don't just want a simple prompt for Midjourney and it's going to give me something very generic. So I'll say to ChatGPT, I'll say, okay, I want this to look like this movie, meaning the visually, right? The cinematography. So for example, you can see in the shorts I made here, there's a bunch of superhero shorts. I would say, make it look like a Christopher Nolan Batman movie, and give me a Midjourney prompt for each image and include all this information. And I would say, include the camera type, include the lens type, include the f-stop, include the lighting, so I'd say, make sure you include all these little details about the cinematography so we can get a really detailed prompt, and all following this particular movie style, right? So it has a reference, right? Now, of course, if you know all this and stuff, you can do it yourself. I was a director, but I was never cinematographer or cameraman. I don't know all the stuff with like lenses and lighting. I just know when I directed my movie, my cinematographer would choose all that based on what I said I wanted the scene to feel like and look like generally, but they would come to the specifics and show it to me and I would approve it. So I don't know all that detailed camera information. So I'm just giving it a reference movie, so it gives me something like that. Then it'll give me the detailed prompts for those images. Then I'll take those prompts, put them into Midjourney, and I'll mess around with it until it gives me what I want. But that way I get unique looking images because it has this detailed prompt that's based on an existing movie, and it's not just going to look like every other Midjourney output, right? Again, this is what I'm saying about you got to give it specific, give these AI tools different inputs so that it doesn't just give out what it usually gives out, because otherwise it all looks too similar and everyone can tell, or they're going to be able to tell pretty soon as these tools get bigger. Then I'll take the images and then I'll animate them in a video generative tool. A Runway I use a lot for talking. I was using this tool called DID a lot to make characters talk. It's good at making faces talk, but other tools have added that. And there's new tools coming out right now. There's a bunch of video tools, but point is, then I go with the image to the video tool, right? But the image, because I've used this process, right, of getting this detailed prompt from ChatGPT with all the cinematography information based on a real movie, and then I get that from Midjourney, and now I'm putting it into the tool, the video tool. Yeah, the video tool, you gotta try stuff to get it to move, but the design is what I want, and that's the hardest part, I think, is getting the actual visual to look like you want to look. And then you gotta mess with the video tools a bit to actually make it move the way you want to move, and it's not always possible, but those are getting better. So this is an example of using the AI tools in the creative workflow. But as you can see, it's not just me saying, okay, write a script, give me images, make them videos, right? Because that would not turn out what I turned out. And look in my short section, you can see the videos that I turned out. They're pretty cool, I think. And again, obviously the tools are still not the best, or not the best, not as good as they're going to be, right? They're the worst that they ever will be right now. But considering that, I think the shorts I made are pretty cool. This is something that I'm trying to really tell people about and get out there. Is use the tools, but make sure that you are bringing your unique creativity to whatever you're creating. And it's not just using what the AI tools give you. You really have to put in unique inputs, prompts, as well as reference materials. And now these, like ChatGPT and everything, you can upload different types of source materials, right? You can upload images, text files, voice, audio. You can use different inputs. So I was trying to kill a mosquito. A lot of mosquitoes in Bali. That's one of the drawbacks. Otherwise, it's paradise here, but a lot of mosquitoes. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Putting in unique inputs, whether that's reference prompts, and then keeping to go back and forth and giving it feedback and say, no, I don't like it like this. I want something like that. And here's some other ideas from me. Keep putting in your own ideas, and then editing the final thing, or keep editing until you get a version you like. But you ultimately want to get something that only could have come from you. And so you have to make sure that you are having enough effect on the product that the product could only come from you, and someone else couldn't just use AI tools and make the same thing, because they will. In other words, there's going to be just a ton of the same kind of mediocre AI generated content with very little human input just covering the internet. Already there's a lot, but there's going to be so much, it's going to be ridiculous. So the way that you're going to stand out is by making stuff, putting in enough of yourself, enough of your style, your creativity, your voice, your perspective, your experiences, that it only could have come from you, and that's going to stand out in this sea of AI generated mediocre content. But use the tools, because they're going to allow you to make, videos that you couldn't make otherwise, and also make your whole process faster. My writing process is getting much faster now because I'm using the AI tools, and so keep doing that. So I'm right now working on outlining a novel trilogy, and so I might start making videos about specifically that process. We'll see. But the point is that, again, I'm developing this myself. In other words, I'm developing how to use the AI tools best in my creative workflow. I'm experimenting every day. I haven't finished the answer, right? This is just where I'm at right now, but I want to get this in your mind and get you to start doing this too. Thanks for watching, and tune back in tomorrow for the next video.